That morning, I sent my son off with a smile. 10 minutes later, a neighbor's SUV turned that smile into a scream. I never imagined a simple Saturday in our peaceful Texas suburb would end in blood, sirens, and heartbreak. Ethan was 13, a good kid, polite, careful, the kind of boy who still said yes ma'am to every adult on the block. He loved skateboarding around the cul-de-sac. Nothing reckless, just small tricks and laughter echoing through the neighborhood. Across the street lived Karen, the self-appointed guardian of the HOA, a woman whose sense of power came from telling everyone else how to live. For months, she'd complained about kids ruining the community vibe, filing petty complaints over chalk drawings, bicycles left near mailboxes, even laughter after sunset. She believed rules mattered more than people. That morning, Ethan grabbed his board, waved goodbye, and rolled down the driveway. The sun was bright, birds were chirping, and the world felt simple. I was making breakfast when the sound shattered the air, tires screeching, metal clashing, and a scream that didn't sound real. I dropped everything and ran. At the end of the street, neighbors were gathering, their faces pale, eyes wide. And there, lying on the asphalt, was my son. His skateboard was broken in two, his helmet cracked, his arm twisted at an angle no arm should ever bend. The white Range Rover that hit him stood just a few feet away, engine humming, and behind the wheel sat Karen, frozen, expressionless, phone in her hand like nothing had happened. I yelled his name, dropped to my knees, and felt for a pulse. He was breathing, faintly, eyes fluttering. My hands shook as I screamed for help. Mrs. Jenkins, our neighbor, ran over with towels while someone called 911. Karen finally stepped out, saying in that cold, dismissive tone, "He came out of nowhere. I couldn't stop." But witnesses were already muttering. Mr. Hale from across the street saw everything. "You didn't even brake," he shouted at her. "You sped up." Karen glared, muttered something about irresponsible parenting, and tried to step away, but the crowd wouldn't let her. When the ambulance arrived, the paramedics worked fast, stabilizing Ethan, strapping him to a board, loading him up. I followed, numb, heart pounding so hard it hurt. At the hospital, I sat beside his bed while machines beeped. The doctor said he had a fractured arm, 2 cracked ribs, a concussion, and deep bruising. "He's lucky," he said. Lucky. That word cut deep. I didn't feel lucky. I felt broken. Karen came by the next day with flowers, cheap ones from the grocery store, and a fake apology dripping with arrogance. "I'm so sorry this happened, but maybe this will be a lesson about safety," she said, as if my son was the one who'd done something wrong. I wanted to scream, but I held it together. I knew this woman, and I knew her kind. She'd twist the story, manipulate the HOA, maybe even get away with it. But I wasn't going to let her. When I got home, I walked straight to my neighbor's house, Mrs. Hale. "Did your doorbell camera catch anything?" I asked. She nodded slowly, opened her phone, and played the footage. My stomach turned cold. The video showed everything. Karen's SUV idling, her glaring at Ethan as he passed, then suddenly flooring the accelerator. You could even see her eyes locked on him, no sign of panic, no attempt to brake. It wasn't an accident. It was anger. Pure, deliberate anger. I called the police that night and handed them the footage. They took statements, collected evidence, and promised to follow up. But deep down, I knew this was going to be a fight. Karen had friends on the HOA board, and she knew how to manipulate people with her charm. She started whispering rumors that Ethan had been reckless, that he'd darted in front of her car. Some neighbors started believing her. I could feel eyes on me whenever I left the house, people unsure of what to think. I stayed quiet publicly, but privately, I gathered everything. Texts from neighbors, timestamps, witness accounts, every detail that could expose the truth. I wasn't seeking revenge. I was seeking justice. Because what Karen didn't understand was that when you hurt someone's child, you awaken something primal in a parent, a fire that doesn't die until the truth burns bright. And I was just getting started. You can't fake remorse forever. Eventually, the truth catches up, and when it does, it hits harder than any car ever could. 3 weeks after the accident, the police returned to my door. "We've seen the footage, ma'am," the officer said. "We're pressing charges." My heart finally exhaled. Karen was arrested that afternoon, reckless endangerment, assault with a deadly weapon, and attempted vehicular harm. But if you think that brought peace, you've never dealt with an HOA Karen on the warpath. Her lawyer argued that the footage was inconclusive, that she was distracted by a bee inside the car, that she never meant to hurt anyone. She cried for the cameras when the local news picked up the story, claiming she was being harassed by vengeful neighbors. The online comment sections exploded. Half the people called her a monster. The other half called it an unfortunate accident. I didn't respond. I just showed up every day in court, calm and silent, while the prosecutor presented every second of that doorbell footage. You could hear the courtroom gasp when Karen's car accelerated right as Ethan entered the frame. The angle showed her eyes through the windshield, focused, deliberate. Even the judge looked disgusted. Then came the HOA records. Multiple complaints Karen had filed against my family. Noise, unsupervised children, safety violations. It was a pattern of obsession. And then came the text messages, recovered from her phone. "He'll learn one way or another," she'd written to another board member. That message changed everything. The jury didn't take long. They found her guilty on all counts. The judge revoked her driver's license, sentenced her to 2 years of probation, 400 hours of community service, and a $150,000 fine for medical and emotional damages. But the real punishment wasn't the legal one. It was social. Neighbors who once smiled at her now crossed the street to avoid her. HOA meetings banned her permanently. Her house went on sale within a month, price dropping fast as word spread. The queen of the cul-de-sac had fallen from her throne. As for Ethan, recovery was slow. Physical therapy was painful, but he was determined. The first time he stood on his skateboard again, months later, the whole neighborhood clapped. It wasn't just about skating, it was about resilience. He smiled, a little nervous, but when he rolled forward, I saw something stronger in his eyes. He wasn't scared anymore. That day, Mrs. Hale hugged me and whispered, "You did right by him. You didn't let her win." And that's when I realized justice isn't about revenge. It's about restoring peace to the innocent and exposing evil for what it is. Karen thought she could control everyone, but in the end, she lost control of the one thing she valued most, her image. The story spread online, shared thousands of times, not because of the tragedy, but because of the message. You can't bully your way through life without consequences. When people see the truth, even the loudest lies go silent. Now, every time I drive past that corner, I see the skid marks faded on the road, a reminder of what almost broke us, but also of what rebuilt us. Ethan waves at the neighbors, a living reminder that no act of cruelty, no matter how hidden behind HOA rules or fake smiles, goes unpunished forever. Karma took its time, but when it arrived, it hit right on target. So I'll ask you, if you were in my place, would you ever forgive her? Or would you let karma finish what it started?